venting prevents explosion. I gotta get a bookmark. Because this book is very new and it's like, won't stay open. My dress. What happens if I turn this off? I don't like it. Okay, a little bit. That's a little bit better, I guess. Oh, I have my nightlight on the screen. I don't know what all these buttons do yet. I'm trying to turn the brightness up. Oh, okay. Brightness up. I think I have my nightlight on. That doesn't affect you. Oh, no, I don't have my nightlight on. Oh, now I have my nightlight on. And it looks much nicer. On my old computer, I would put the nightlight on only at night. But now I like to have it on all the time. It's like the same as my light bulbs in my lamps. It's a nice golden light bulb. Okay. We're on chapter 7. What was the last thing that happened? At once, Nancy, Bess, and George wanted to know the full story of the theft. They jumped into the convertible and Nancy sped to the scene. Could there be any connection between the burglary and the mysterious disappearance of Crossan and Ned? Nancy wondered. Now, what has been burglarized? The girls thought that Bert and Dave had been kidnapped, but they just went out for breakfast or lunch or something. And now they have to get to class. And, oh yeah, he drove directly to the classroom building and the boys got out. Nancy took the wheel and headed for the frat house. A student was on duty in the front hall. Any word about Ned yet? Nancy asked him. Nothing, he answered. But say, there's been some more excitement on the campus. A burglary. Really? George spoke up. Where? Over in the office and lab where the electronic and computer work is done. Ned and Mr. Crossan experimented there. Lots of things were taken. At once, Nancy, Bess, and George wanted to know the full story of the theft. They jumped into the convertible and Nancy sped to the scene. Could there be any connection between the burglary and the mysterious disappearance of Crossan and Ned? Nancy wondered. I hear the cardinal outside. There's a cardinal who lives behind me, and I hear him all the time. Cardinals used to be like a special thing. I only saw once and now and then, but there's one living back there, or there's a whole bunch of them around. Because as I was walking down the street this morning to get my coffee, 3 cardinals alighted on the branch of the tree in front of me as I walked towards it. And I stopped and I looked up at them. The sun was quite bright, so I had to, but they were a very bright red. That was nice. So we will read chapter 7 in a moment. I will be right back. Okay. I got my roots done. What do you think? How does it look in the back? Pretty nice. I sat under one of the, okay, I don't know, I like sitting under the thing, but I sat under the thing and it was so hot. 20 minutes, just 20 minutes, but it felt like 20 years. And my eyeballs were sweating. It was so hot under that thing. I don't like using heat, but I told the guy, hey, do what you want. So he put the curlers in, and then I sat under the thing for 20 minutes. And that's what it looked like. I'll be right back. The TV is off. told you I'd come back, didn't I? I told you I'd come back. Is anybody here? Apparently 2 people are here, plus me. All right, let's do this. I repainted my nails. I'm all fresh as a daisy. Okay. Chapter 7, The Explosion. When Nancy, Bess, and George reached the laboratory, they found the entrance door wide open. Professor Titus, who was in charge of the department, and a policeman were at work hunting for clues to the burglar's identity. The officer was taking pictures of fingerprints. Nancy introduced herself and her friends and told the professor that they were trying to solve the mystery of Ned Nickerson's strange disappearance. "Oh, yes," Titus said, "and I understand you are being very thorough. No doubt that is why you are here." "We've been away on a sleuthing mission and just got back," Nancy explained. "When we learned what had happened here, we came right over." Professor Titus took the girls to meet the fingerprint expert, who by this time had developed all his pictures from the fast processing film. He remarked, These very faint old ones and the newly made group are the same." "Does that mean," Nancy asked, "that the person responsible for the theft is well acquainted with this lab?" The officer was inclined to think so. "I'll see if the college has the fingerprints of everyone using this laboratory." Professor Titus spoke up. "That has never been required," he said. "I am afraid you'll have to look elsewhere for identification." Nancy was sorry to hear this. She wanted to mention Crossan's name because in her own mind, she felt sure that he had burglarized the lab. But on the other hand, why would he rob the place when he could work there? She decided to say nothing yet to the police. "Perhaps Crossan has gone away for good," the young detective said to herself. She asked Professor Titus if it would be all right for her to look around. "Yes, indeed," he said. The 3 girls walked about slowly, examining the long work tables, some with sinks, others with electric outlets. Against one wall were computers of various sizes. The electronic equipment seemed complicated. "This place is like a maze," she thought. Idly, Nancy wandered over to a metal file cabinet which stood by itself on one side of the room. "I think I'll just peek inside. Maybe I can pick up some information to help solve this case." She pulled open the top drawer and found it filled with books. They were of a technical and specialized nature, and Nancy doubted that they would lend a clue. "I'll look at them later," she decided, closing the drawer. Next, she drew out the large second drawer. Before Nancy had a chance to find out what it contained, there was a sudden explosion inside the drawer. It tore the file cabinet apart. The force knocked Nancy against the opposite wall, but fortunately, she was not hit by any of the flying debris. The others in the room rushed over to see if she was all right. "Bess!" Excuse me. "Nancy!" Bess cried out. "I'm okay," the stunned girl answered shakily. "I must have triggered a bomb." As George glanced toward the wreck, she yelled, "Fire! The papers are on fire!" I thought she was going to shout out, "Hypers!" Professor Titus had rushed to a nearby extinguisher and told the others to get another from the outer office. The flaming papers crackled and sent up greenish smoke. The 2 extinguishers failed to douse the flames. "Notify the fire department!" Professor Titus shouted, and George dashed to the office phone to put in the call. "Fire department. Hypers! We've got a fire in the lab. Explosion! Venting prevents explosion." I wonder if the file cabinet was vented. Sorry. So who's here? Who's here? The odor from the burning contents of the cabinet became intolerable. Open the window. or leave the room. Everyone was forced to leave and the door was closed. You would think as soon as there was an explosion, they would, get out of there. Professor Titus suddenly recalled that there was a manual sprinkler system in the ceiling of the lab. He turned 2 metal wheels on the wall, then opened the lab door a crack and peered in. Water was streaming down. By the time the firemen arrived, the blaze had been extinguished. I thought you had a fire here. Sorry, we put it out ourselves. Well, do you have anything for us to do? You got some kittens up a tree or anything? No, sorry. I guess our equipment isn't needed, said one of the men with a smile. But we'll investigate the cause of the fire. Are they supposed to do that, or is some other people supposed to do that? Professor Titus looked a little sheepish. I only remembered about the overhead sprinkler system after we called you, he said. What I think we do need here is an inspection by the police bomb squad. Yeah. He told about the explosion in the file cabinet, and the fire captain in charge telephoned at once to the head of the bomb squad. Nancy remarked to the other girls, If there was anything important in the file, it's no good to us now. George replied, I guess that's the way the burglar planned it. Nancy turned to Professor Titus. Please tell me all you know about Zap Crossan. Actually, I know very little, he replied. Why? Do you? When the young detective did not offer to explain her interest in the graduate student, Professor Titus went on. The young man was secretive and uncommunicative. Several times I tried to engage him in conversation, but all he ever told me was that his parents were foreign and he had had part of his education in Europe. Nancy said she understood that Crossan worked next to Ned in the lab. Yes, Professor Titus said, and he often assisted Ned, mostly when no regular classes were being held in the lab or when no other students were working there on experiments. At once, Nancy thought, here's a clue. She wondered if Ned was doing original experiments. Was Crossan helping him or only being an inquisitive bystander? At that moment, 2 fully equipped representatives from the police bomb squad arrived. They entered the soaking wet lab and checked every inch of its walls and floor to be sure that no other bombs had been planted. By this time, the rank odor which had accompanied the fire had vanished up the ventilator, and the fire captain declared the room was now safe to enter. I'd like to take a look around the place again, Nancy told the professor. Go ahead, he said. He introduced her to the bomb squad men and said she was an amateur detective. But her methods seem very professional, he added with a smile. Then we would be glad for any help you can give us, one member of the squad said. I'm Jake Riley. Nancy grinned. Thank you for the compliment, she said. I'm sure I can't tell you well-trained men anything you wouldn't be able to find out yourselves. Professor Titus spoke up quickly. With a grin, he said, The police have not yet found our students, Ned Nickerson and Zap Crossan. Miss Drew, on the other hand, has uncovered several leads. The men were very much interested. Can you tell us about any of them? Riley asked the young detective. Nancy took a deep breath before answering. I'm afraid Professor Titus is exaggerating about my discoveries. I became involved in the case because of a strangely worded message I received in a robot copter. Actually, it was a warning to me to beware of Cyclops. Cyclops, Riley repeated. What is that? That's what I'm trying to find out, Nancy revealed. She changed the subject so that she would not be questioned any further. I'd like to continue what I was doing before the explosion, if it's all right. Go ahead, Riley replied. Exciting chapter. Exciting chapter. Nancy walked off, scanning the littered floor. Suddenly, in one corner, she noticed a giant-sized glass eye. Her heart pounding with excitement, she hurried toward it. The object might be a link to the intriguing eye at the Anderson Museum. Although this eye was not glowing, she asked Riley if it had been tested for radioactivity. "It has none," he reported. Nancy picked up the glass eye. Upon close inspection, she discovered that the glass was a lid over a painted eye. She lifted the lid and studied the eye. Was it hiding something beneath? A small computer, perhaps? She gazed at it a long time, then closed the lid. "Professor Titus, do you know anything about this?" Nancy asked. "Never saw it before." "How about the glowing eye at the Anderson Museum?" the young detective queried. "I don't know anything about it." Nancy thought this was strange, since she had been told the eye belonged to Emerson's science department, and students from there were in charge of it. Suddenly, the eye began to quiver in Nancy's hand. The catch had become unfastened. Before she could close it, a voice from inside the gadget said, "Don't touch me. I am the deadly Cyclops." The young detective quickly closed the lid and hid the eye back on the floor. The voice stopped speaking. "Whoa, that's getting creepy. Whoa. Ugh." "Let me see it," Riley said in bewilderment. Nancy handed it to him, and in a few seconds, the message was repeated. Riley closed the lid, and the voice stopped. "This will bear closer investigation," he said. "I'll take it along. I don't quite trust the mechanism inside. Possibly it could trigger another explosion if the person handling it does not obey. Girls, you'd better leave the lab at once to avoid any further danger. Hurry!" End of chapter 7. Oh my goodness. He's ordering Nancy to leave. So obviously, she's going to come back. She's going to be back in that lab. Goodness gracious. I kind of wish that they'd go back to the Drew house and just like relax. Nancy could take a break from the mystery, go home for a day just to relax, have some Hannah food, talk to her dad, maybe take Togo for a walk and do some gardening. If it was me, I would need a week off from the mystery. If it was me, my headquarters would be at home. I'd have a lot of people working for me, but I wouldn't have to go into the danger very much, That's what I would do. I would order food, I would get my detectives together and they would come over and we would order a bunch of food and discuss the mystery. I'd be less, in the thick of things. What about you? What would your type, if you were a detective, what would be your kind of thing? I would stick at headquarters. But it wouldn't be like a police headquarters or a detective agency. It would be at home. It would be very homey. Oh, yuck. That was fun, huh? The next one is called Puzzling Package. I want them to find Ned. Whoa. There's a strange code or thing to decipher there. See it? Oh. A puzzle to decipher. I'm looking ahead. I'm looking to see if we're looking for the word Ned. I've seen the word Ned, but I have not seen him speaking yet in the little bit that I went ahead. It's 6:30 already. Is it dark out? No. Okay, so I think I've said in the past that there were chickens living next door to me. And I would always hear chickens in the morning and I loved it. And they would like run around and they'd come over to the fence and I would cluck at them and just say hi and they would come over. Well, I hadn't heard the chicken sounds for a while. It just dawned on me. I was like, I'm not hearing chickens anymore. And I wouldn't see them either. And I thought, oh no, did they eat the chickens? So the guy there, he was out working the other day and I stopped and I asked him what happened to the chickens. And he said, someone complained about the noise. Someone in the like our little area here. Somebody had complained. And so they had to rehome them. Well, I'm glad they haven't been eaten, but I miss them. I really loved having chickens next door and hearing them in the morning. I miss them. But I'm glad they're somewhere where they're allowed and they can still be happy. You know? That's good. I asked him if they ate them, and he said, I don't know who Nero Wolf is. It sounds like familiar. Someone from a book or a video game. Am I right? Am I right? Yeah, I asked the guy just jokingly, did you eat them? It was a nice like feeling like I was in the country or something. Anyway, I think that I'm just going to read one for today because I got to get something to eat and just I'm tired, probably tired from being at the hairdresser for at least 3 hours I was there. And you know, my hairdresser guy was really nice, but we talked the whole time except when I was under the dryer. And so yeah, I'm like stiff from sitting there. But when I come back, I love the chapter 11. I like the name of it. Wilderness Cabin. Ooh. Book and TV. Okay. Here, let me look it up real quick before I go. Nero Wolf with an E. Oh, he's like an old fat guy. I was thinking of the complete opposite of that. A young, thin guy. But he's an old fat guy in the pictures. Oh, okay. Nero Wolfe is a brilliant, obese, and eccentric fictional armchair detective created in 1930. Oh, so was what I described kind of like Nero Wolfe? He's obese, so like he can't go running around and stuff. He came about in first appearance, 1934. Oh, wow. So he goes way back. And I'm sure he's been through many incarnations, right? His height, according to Wolf's height, is 5'11", and his weight is 272 pounds. Well, that's not that obese by today's standards. Where is he from? I can't. Wait, is that Russian? No. Oh, I think I like. I are there any old movies with this guy? Because I think I would love it. He is loath to leave his home for business or anything that would keep him from reading his books, tending his orchids, or eating the gourmet meals prepared by his chef, Fritz Brenner. This sounds fun. Are there movies? Film. Charles Lawton? Oh, he wanted Charles Lawton to play him. In 1970, come on, I just want a list of movies, jerks. I'm on Wikipedia, but I'll look him up some more. Sidney Greenstreet starred in NBC's The New Adventures of Nero Wolfe, 1950, 1951. Oh, I like that this is a guy who goes way back so I could find old stuff because I don't like new stuff, you know? Interesting. See, I had heard the name. Thank you for mentioning Nero Wolfe. Now I'm going to check him out because he sounds like a fun guy to hang out with, you know? He just wants to laze about like a British bulldog. I like it. One time I saw a lady walking her British bulldog. You know, she was going along the sidewalk. Or no, I had turned and she was there and she had the dog on a leash, but he wasn't walking. He was lying down and he would not get up. And I had to watch for a while because it was so amusing. Like the dog would not get up. He was done walking. He was just going to stop in the middle of the sidewalk and not go on. Pick me up or send me a taxi or something. Get me a wagon. I'm not going. I thought that was so funny. Anyway, yes, that's it for that. I'm going to find something to eat. And oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that it's been a few days since I uploaded The Invisible Intruder. Shame on you, Nancy. Shame on you. But it will be coming soon, I promise. Oh, and I'm waiting for another Thrift Books order. It's not Nancy Drew. It's I don't know. I probably mentioned it at some time. It's a collection of Emily Dickinson's poems. It's a hardcover edition from 1982, and it has a really pretty cover. And I remember I mentioned that because someone I follow on Instagram had posted a picture of it, and I found the same copy. So I'm waiting for that. It seems to be, it's like not moving when I check the tracking. So I'm going to try to forget about it and not check the tracking. So that is it for me. I'm going to hoist my microphone back over here. And I will say goodbye to love. No, I will say goodbye to y'all and hope you are having a great weekend and we'll continue to have a great weekend. Jake Boston. Hello, Jake Boston. Just popping in to say hi. Busy day and we'll catch the replay. Great. Yeah, I'm just about to log off or whatever, end stream. I just read one chapter today. So, hi, Jake Boston. Bye, Jake Boston. And Thowata. I still can't say your name, but I know that you're not a girl now. Thank you for telling me about Nero Wolfe. I'm going to see if I can find some old stuff to watch. Bye, everybody.